In my first push-along unboxing video, I mentioned how some of the new merchandise that Mattel was releasing this year was potentially hinting at the new 2026 project that was recently announced. So, I wanted to make a video on this topic, looking back at a time where I believe something similar had occurred, and seeing how history may be repeating itself with this new line. Please remember that this is all speculation, and to not take it as fact. But anyways, let's get into it. Going back a bit to the beginning of 2020, we got 3 Trackmaster packs based off of Season 23, containing Golden Thomas, Gustavo, and Raul. These releases were weird in general, considering they gave both Raul and Gustavo side rods, which isn't accurate to the show, but that wasn't the only thing that was strange about this wave. If you took a look at the coach released in the Golden Thomas pack, you'd notice that all the passengers are in this weird new 2D style that we'd never seen before. Trackmaster 2 coaches have had printing in a 2D style before, however, they still represented the passengers in the art style of the CGI series, as seen in the Reds vs Blues Thomas and the Runaway Steven pack. And while these humans don't look 100% accurate to what we got in All Engines Go, at least to me, it's always possible that they were early designs, a mix of both art styles, or a small early attempt at shifting the art style used on Thomas merchandise. Out of nowhere that same year, Mattel decided to rebrand and slightly redesign the Trackmaster line, which was renamed to Motorized, now focusing on classic train play or whatever they said. With the rebrand, we started getting merchandise based off of Season 24, and for some odd reason, the Duchess pack goes back to the usual CGI passenger design, which isn't wrong, but I'm not entirely sure why they changed it in the first place, to then just revert it back to what it was originally. As we headed towards 2021, and All Engines Go loomed over our heads, Mattel still released some merch based off of CGI for a bit, such as a couple more 3-packs and the new talking engines. Now, for the talking engines, we got new additions to the line, containing a new talking Thomas, Gordon, James, and Diesel, with the last 2 being the ones I want to focus on. First, the talking James model had some details printed on the side of some workers cleaning him up, and if you look closely, these are clearly based on the humans from All Engines Go, which you can really tell just by the style of the eyes alone. Something that I would like to point out is that I think this is kind of like the only time we see a driver in the All Engines Go art style, which is kind of funny to think about. Now, as for Diesel, it's kind of weird how they chose him to be one of the 4 talking engines, instead of maybe going the easier route and doing like a repainted Percy or something. But anyways, the Diesel pack comes in this weird red stripe design, but also with a cow and a milk tanker. Diesel himself being picked here is a little interesting, but considering how much he was pushed in the show, especially in the later CGI seasons, it's maybe not too weird. But now, the fact that they put him in a pack with a cow, which is something All Engines Go had a lot of in the show, is something I find kind of interesting, although there's always a chance it is a coincidence as well. After this point, we learned more about All Engines Go, and as the show and merch rolled out, CGI Thomas slowly began to fade away, while All Engines Go became the new face of the brand. Now coming back to present time, we got another redesign in both the motorized and push-along ranges to coincide with the 80th anniversary of the franchise after getting Donald and Duck as the last new All Engines Go styled characters. This time, the characters were portrayed in their classic original series looks. Despite their flaws, this was very exciting for a lot of fans, including me. Like, when I saw this image pop up on my feed for the first time, I literally wanted to scream and possibly even cry because of how happy I was. But after learning that All Engines Go was ending with its 4th season, we were again left in the dark on what was next for Thomas in the TV space and the franchise as a whole. That was until a Business Wire article was published about the pilot episode being released to the public for the very first time. And if you look at the very bottom of the article, we see a statement that says, "The excitement doesn't stop here. In 2026, Thomas and Friends is ready for a thrilling new journey that is set to delight fans old and new." Now, this could mean anything obviously. This could be a new miniseries to be released on YouTube, the Mark Forster film, which I highly doubt, some kind of standalone special, or a new reboot. Now, assuming the 2026 project is some sort of new reboot, the new merch possibly might have only been made to tie in exclusively with the anniversary, and then next year we get brand new molds to better suit the reboot's look. But do we really believe that Mattel spent their resources to make 7 new molds for motorized engines just to throw them out a year later? I mean, it's not like they haven't done stuff like this before, but with Mattel being a company that usually likes reusing what they have, They could have created these new motorized and push-along engines to coincide with the anniversary while sneakily future-proofing them for the future project. So, let's start off by taking a look at the new push-along engines. First thing I want to point out is that besides Henry, Thomas, Percy, and James all have some kind of slanted shape when you look at them from the front. Like, it's mainly noticeable with the cabs, but you can see how the models sort of start at their normal width at the bottom, but then get a bit narrower by the top. It's kind of an odd choice for them to make on these, since to my knowledge, no classic designs have this design choice, with All Engines Go being the only time they have angled bodies. Next, we have also seen that Percy's number 6 is weirdly inaccurate. Not entirely sure how this happened, but this could have been a mistake though, especially since the other engines and the motorized Percy have their correct fonts. My next point is their faces. As we see on the packaging, these are supposed to replicate the faces of the CGI series. However, we can see that they do have a bit of an unusual look to them. I think Henry again is the most accurate to his original model, with James coming in a close second. Thomas and Percy, however, just aren't 100% there in my opinion. Percy looks like they purposely made him extra cute, especially with the way they made his pupils very big, almost like a puppy. Just some speculation, but maybe they could potentially be taking a little influence from All Engines Go with the new reboot, and making Percy like the cute small character of the main cast, but I don't know. And getting onto the Annie and Claire ball that come exclusively in the 6-pack, you can see that they actually have some sort of makeup on their faces. Like, their CGI models do have eyelashes, but they don't have any sort of lipstick. Their classic series models did kind of look like they had lipstick, but it was only really present during like the earlier seasons of the show, so that's something to think about I think. A weird inconsistency kind of similar to the push-along Percy is that the motorized versions that come with the Talking Thomas don't have that sort of makeup detail. And with some theories going around that the classic push-along line was rushed out last minute, it's possible they had references to newer updated models and added those details to the push-along versions. It's also possible that these faces may be a hybrid of their classic and CGI faces, as pointed out by the Alien Boy 479, which I could also kind of see being the case, considering they are marketing these as classic, and are possibly taking inspiration from different eras of the show. But personally, I believe that the classic term they use for this merch is mainly referring to Thomas's original iconic look, and not the 2D All Engines Go Thomas. Moving on to the motorized line, I haven't really found much to support my claim. One thing I've noticed is how the new Nia doesn't have any eyelashes, which maybe means they're removing them from her model the same way they removed Rosie's makeup in season 21. Most female characters introduced after the Great Race had a similar style of eyelashes added to their models to kind of show that they are female characters at a first glance, which I don't really think is necessary considering how characters like Emily and Mavis don't have any, so it's possible that they are trying to move away from that with some characters. It's also possible they might have just forgotten to add the eyelashes to the toy somehow, but considering they use her original CGI render on the packaging, I think someone at Mattel would have noticed it before finalizing the design. Getting on to Flying Scotsman, his tender lining has been fixed in a way. While it's not accurate to his CGI tenders, it is a lot more accurate to what his actual tenders are in real life and in the Railway series. And while we're on the topic of Flying Scotsman, Bachmann recently announced that they are releasing him in the HO line next year. And while this might mean nothing as Bachmann has only been making stuff based off CGI for the past few years now, we do see a model with a very small difference used in the catalog, that being a slightly smaller face. If he had the correct tender lining on there too, I would have said that this model could have been a first look at the reboot's new redesigns. While maybe it's just some early model and nothing related to the next project, I still think it's kind of interesting how much Flying Scotsman is being pushed in merch now, despite not being relevant in the franchise for the last couple years. And now onto the load and launch barrel delivery set. The main destination of this set is a big station that vaguely resembles Vicarstown. There are some differences to accommodate the playability of the set, but the way it's designed with the walls having arches and the big roof that has a similar shape to Vicarstown in the show, it literally looks like it's trying to be Vicarstown, with it even having a bell at the top of the station too. Now, the arching bit of it at the top where the Vicarstown sign would be located is now replaced by a simple silhouette of Thomas, which could be the new design of Vicarstown in the new reboot. It might be a strange choice for them to make, but if they decided to follow the All Engines Go rule of not having nameplates or any kind of writing on anything, it could possibly be the reason as to why they did it. As I finish writing this script, I see how a lot of this evidence may sort of seem like a big joke, and probably we shouldn't even take it seriously, and honestly, I don't blame you. All the things I pointed out could be mistakes or design choices purposely made by the design team. Is it possible Mattel may reuse what they've created for the reboot's new merch? Possibly. The new merch returning to the classic designs could even be an attempt to correct the look of the Thomas brand, so when the new reboot drops, we have more of a seamless transition over to the new content and merch. We just won't know until we get an official announcement. And with that, that's all I got for you today. I really wanted to prioritize this video as I have a really strong feeling that something about this project will leak in like the next month or two, which is why I'll also be releasing another video covering my thoughts on what I think the new project will be like, which might either be the next video or the one after that. I also got a couple of other videos in the works, such as some basic unboxings, as well as another small video essay. It might be a bit before it comes out as it was kind of birthed from the script of this video, and I kind of felt like including it into this video was bloating it with too much information that wasn't really too relevant to the main subject. So I still need some time to rework it into its own video, but that's all I'll say for now. Again, thank you for all your support, and I'll see you in the next video.